This is a glyph. In written languages, a glyph is an elemental symbol that represents a character. When put together, they collectively add up to the spelling of a word, or they communicate a sound or idea to the audience. For instance, this glyph is from the Nahuatl language, a prominent language in Mesoamerican cultures as early as the 7th century. When you see it in art from the era, it represents speech. The figure is saying something, but the glyph doesn't tell the audience what exactly they are saying. As far back as the 12th century, European artists instead used speech scrolls, also called banderoles, in order to depict their speaking subjects. They appeared as literal scrolls either floating out of a figure's mouth or hanging just beside them in the painting. These points of contact were important when a piece of art presented more than one speaker. It allowed the viewer to know who was saying what. And unlike the Mesoamerican glyph, the speech scrolls actually contain spoken words, usually religious quotes written in Latin. Sometimes artists didn't even use a banderole. In order to connect the speaker to the words, the artist would write the lines of text so they appeared to flow from the speaker's mouth. The artists would sometimes use different colors for the text in order to indicate a proper order to the displayed conversation. Hundreds of years later, long after banderoles had fallen out of fashion, artists were still unsure of how to visualize dialogue and how to connect those lines of dialogue to a specific speaker. In 1896, the New York journal American published The Yellow Kid, what historians believe to be the first ever American comic strip. When it was first released, characters' words were written across their clothes or on items they held in their hand. But later that same year, they began illustrating the text inside bubbles, floating above the characters' heads. And like that, the speech bubble was born. And over 100 years later, it's become synonymous with comic books. In order for comics to work as a narrative form, they're required to take intangible things like speech and thought and make them visible for the reader. That's why bubbles are so vital to the comic medium. They not only contain words, but because of their directional pointers, they're able to signify who is speaking in the panel. And the order in which they're displayed in the panel also tells the audience the speaking order. At their most basic, bubbles help tell the story. But over time, they've been used in more complex and unique ways that allow them to both help tell the story and reinforce deeper aspects of the story. In his book, Comics and Sequential Art, Will Eisner says, as balloons became more extensively employed, their outlines were made to serve as more than simple enclosures for speech. Soon they were given the task of adding meaning and conveying the character of sound to the narrative. Inside the balloon, the lettering reflects the nature and emotion of the speech. It is most often symptomatic of the artist's own style, as well as that of the character speaking. Bold italic places emphasis on a word, breath marks signify a cough or heavy breathing, burst indicates someone screaming their dialogue, double outline also adds emphasis to the dialogue, music notes denotes singing or whistling, electric, along with italicized text, signifies speech transmitted through a radio, TV, or a speaker. Rough, along with mangled fonts, indicates creepy, distorted, or monstrous voices. Small text in a big bubble denotes muttering or whispering. Whispered dialogue is also indicated with dashed lines, muted colors, or lowercase text. And wavy usually denotes a character in physical or mental distress. These are just a few ways that speech bubbles help tell the story more effectively. But color can also provide meaning, character information, and clarification of the speaker to the reader, even if they are absent from the panel. A popular example is Dr. Manhattan's character from Watchmen. When he is normal John Osterman, his speech bubble is also normal. But once he's imbued with superhuman abilities, it then takes on the same blue color as his new skin color. They also have a double outline, which reinforces a newfound authority and power in his voice. Having Dr. Manhattan's bubbles in blue helps clarify to the reader who is speaking even when he isn't visible. In issue 4, Watchmaker, Dr. Manhattan jumps through time, recounting his memories. As we see those memories play out, his square bubbles not only indicate that he is off panel, but the blue helps the audience understand who is speaking. This is a valuable tool, especially when there are multiple narrators in a particular story. Take Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. It was vital to have colored narration bubbles because Batman isn't the only character who narrates. At different points in the story, Robin, the Joker, Superman, and Commissioner Gordon narrate. Batman is gray, Robin yellow, the Joker green, Superman blue, and Gordon black. As with any story, clarity is important. And without sound, comics need to use whatever tools they have at their disposal, especially the speech bubble. And I'm not sure a comic has fully realized the creative power of speech bubbles more effectively than Neil Gaiman's The Sandman. Now, it's a fool's errand attempting to summarize the epic 75-issue story, so I'll just say The Sandman is a story about stories. There's a blend of history, mythology, dreams, and Gaiman's usual trademark of taking metaphysical entities and giving them an anthropomorphic personification. And that's where we get our main character, Dream. The storyline primarily takes place in the dream realm and the waking world, but there are also occasional visits to other domains such as Hell, Asgard, and the realms of Sandman's siblings, also known as the Endless: death, desire, despair, delirium, destruction, and destiny. During Sandman's run, there was a different artist for each volume, and with different artists' interpretation of the world, a storyline spanning time and space, with a large ensemble of characters, not to mention Gaiman's already complex, sophisticated writing, clarity for the reader was paramount. And a lot of that responsibility was placed on the shoulders of Todd Klein, the letterer for the entire run of Sandman. Klein and Gaiman worked together to mix different shapes, colors, typography, in order to create bubbles that were revolutionary. They not only signified the speaker, but they also reinforced the speaker's personality and their emotional state. Take The Endless, for example. Death's is ordinary. It matches the same regular style as the humans in the story. It makes her feel more calming and relatable, which is necessary for a character who greets humans as they die and escorts them to the afterlife. It also helps differentiate her from how death is usually personified in stories, like the Grim Reaper. Destruction has a bold border around his that gives him a strong booming presence. Delirium's might be the most unusual, with flowing shapes of rainbow colors, and text constantly in focused and drifting in and out. In The Sandman Companion, letterer Todd Klein says, "It was supposed to reflect her fluent, shifting nature. Her lettering constantly changes in size, shape, and slant, wobbling in and out, to indicate that she's always on the verge of madness. This perfectly fits her chaotic persona. She's completely untethered in more ways than one. Her concentration drifts in and out. Her hair and hair color are always changing. The ever-shifting speech bubbles even reinforces her background, as she was first incarnated as the light, but eventually transformed into delirium." Dream has white text on a black background that not only matches his appearance, but it's also the reverse coloring of a normal speech bubble. And that perfectly fits Dream, which is in itself the reverse realm of the waking. The squiggly shape reinforces his dreamlike, ethereal nature. Again, having a standard for each character was vital, especially for Dream, who alters his appearance throughout the series based on the region and era and time. In the issue Men of Good Fortune, his wardrobe changes with each new generation. Dream's overall appearance changes too based on the entity looking at him. In Tales in the Sand, the people see him as a starry-eyed African man. And in Dream of a Thousand Cats, he appears as a giant black cat. With all the changes he undergoes, his bubble still remains constant throughout. And that's imperative for the audience to always understand when Dream is speaking, even when he doesn't look like himself. Lucifer, Matthew the Raven, Barnabas the dog, and many, many others, they had their own custom bubbles that helped them stand apart while also reinforcing their personality traits. By the end of the series, Klein had crafted over 30 unique styles for the Sandman characters. They're a major part of Sandman's overall success. Klein and Gaiman's approach to speech bubbles was revolutionary and started a trend that continues on today in the comic industry. But comics as a whole have only scratched the surface of possibilities, because the power of a simple little bubble is endless. This video is brought to you by Surfshark. With COVID-19 still causing a lot of people to work from home, it's really never been a better time to have a VPN. With Surfshark, you're able to encrypt all your data on your phone, computer, and tablet, which means that all your documents, passwords, private messages, photos, videos, and any other sensitive material will be protected from prying eyes. For a limited time, Surfshark has this incredible deal going for my viewers, and you really need to jump on it. They're offering 85% off a 2-year plan, plus an extra 3 months entirely free. That's only $1.77 a month. So stop what you're doing and go to surfshark.deals/entertaintheelk in order to start protecting your information and also start using their designed features. Features like Clean Web, which removes all ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts from your internet. Whitelister, which lets you allow certain websites to bypass the VPN, like banking apps. But I think my favorite feature is how I'm able to access content from all over the world, based on the server location of my choice. For example, streaming services like Netflix offers different libraries of content from country to country, based on licensing deals. And so with Surfshark, you can choose a server in a different country and instantly have access to content that would otherwise be blocked. This is a great way to discover new TV shows and movies, especially in this time of COVID-19 where a lot of us are stuck at home and desperate for things to watch. Again, go to surfshark.deals/entertaintheelk right now in order to get 85% off a 2-year plan with 3 extra months entirely free. Surfshark is even giving customers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can check out everything they have to offer with absolutely no risk. Thanks everyone for watching. The Sandman is probably the best comic series I've ever read, and so I loved having this excuse to get to talk about it. Do yourself a favor and go give it a read if you haven't already. But obviously not before you subscribe to my channel and click the bell below. That way you won't miss out on any new videos whenever they come out. If you're looking for a way to support the channel, you can always check out my Patreon page that has exclusive content, or you can try out the sponsors that I'm pushing. By doing so, you're helping me maintain relationships with sponsors, which is my primary source of financing for Entertain the Elk. So not only do you get to try out something new, but it's also an excellent way to help me make more videos. Thanks again everyone for watching, and I will see you all next time.